Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Wednesday drawing session with me, Frank Cho. There's my trusty Pentel mechanical pencil with zero point 0.7 HB lead and my kneaded eraser. And here's my favorite paper to draw on, Strathmore Bristleboard 300 series with vellum surface. I love the vellum surface because it grips the pencil really well. The surface just grips the pencil really well. So today I am going to draw Ursula from The Little Mermaid, from the Disney animated show The Little Mermaid. So I had this image in mind where she is just standing kind of proudly holding the trident. So once I have that image in mind, I basically basically I'm trying my best to transfer that mental image onto paper. So with this image, I really didn't have to work hard for it. I mean, some images I just basically have an inkling and then start kind of like noodling and start messing around till I get the final image. With this image, it was pretty much fully formed when this image popped in my mind, and then so which is great, which makes my job easier. So I just have to transfer that mental image onto the paper. And you can see I'm just like flying through the initial, the sketch phase, just a rough composition, figure composition, how the figure will look, and just the overall design of the illustration. So here I am drawing her face. Now the trick is, the really tricky part is how to draw the animated design into a more of a realistic style. So my style is fairly realistic, even though it's a comic book style. It is rooted in very realism, and the Disney animated style is just basically a cartoon. It's a very exaggerated cartoon. So the big tricky part is to figure out how to make Ursula realistic, yet at the same time retain the cartoon design sense. So the good part about this is Ursula is based on the actor Divine, who is a famous actor who did a lot of movies with John Waters, a lot of cult movies, a lot of campy cult movies. So with that in mind, I was able to draw Ursula fairly quickly. I kind of had a sense of how Ursula should look like. So Ursula has this, in the cartoon, has this hooded eyes where she looks sleepy, and has this like kind of a button nose, but has a hooked button nose and this wide mouth. Like she has like this, when she smiles, she looks like the Joker. Actually, the more I think about it, with the makeup and all, she looks more like Tim Curry from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So with Divine in mind, and also Tim Curry, I was able to translate her face fairly well in a realistic manner. So I'm drawing the ear and the hair. Now her hair is actually, I actually enjoyed drawing her hair. Actually, I enjoyed drawing hair in general. She had this, Ursula has this really cool, short, punky hairstyle, which I think kind of fits her personality very well. And so when you draw the hair, you just kind of like, just have to kind of like mimic the water flow. And there I am drawing the her arm. Now the Ursula character, the cartoon character, I mean, she's a very obese character. She's very big bone. She has a lot of, she's a hefty woman, which is just absolutely makes her more fun to draw because she has all these like, there's a heft to it. There's a lot of weight to it, and a lot of curves, which is always fun to draw for me. She has this great big Rubenesque proportion to her limbs and her body. So now Ursula is a very exaggerated character, like all cartoons, like all animated cartoons. The body proportion, movement, everything is just exaggerated. So when you're turning that exaggerated design into a realistic drawing, you have to still kind of like embrace the exaggeration and kind of exaggerate the realistic proportion within reason. So I'm drawing her eyes. She has Ursula eyes, very heavily made up. Is Has a lot of eye makeup and has like incredible long, campy eyelashes. So everything about Ursula is just exaggeration. So once you kind of have that in mind, and actually, not even that. Once you kind of embrace that, all the exaggeration, she's actually really fun to draw. And she has this arching eyebrow. Drawing that rotund torso, lower torso. She has this great big, just really beautiful Rubenesque hips. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of Rubens. So drawing Ursula is actually was really fun for me. So I'm just laying out the tentacles. So in the initial drawing, you could see, like, it's more of a flow. I was actually more interested in the flow than the actual drawing during the initial kind of like laying out stage. So you want the tentacle to kind of flow like it's flowing in water, you know. And there's that lone tentacle on the right hand side to kind of counterbalance the left hand side. And then kind of like have that tentacle in the front kind of have is kind of flipped out a little bit so you can see the underbelly of the tentacle where you can see the suckers. I mean, everything about Ursula is just so fun to draw for me. And she's such a outrageous character. I love drawing outrageous characters because there's just, you can just have so much fun with just the exaggeration. Just put a lot of personality into their drawing, into their figure work. I'm just erasing some stray marks. Just give it that big manic smile, just like the Joker. Actually, the more I think about it, I think Tim Curry, a young Tim Curry, would have made a pretty decent Joker because he has that crazy big manic smile. And just everything about him is just kind of, there's a manic energy to it. So I'm drawing the hair. Again, I just love the overall design of Ursula, just with her short, punk-like hair. So when you're drawing hair, think of it as a like an overall mass and the flow, mass and flow. That's basically hair. Don't try to draw the individual hair. You'll drive yourself crazy. So I'm just erasing the initial paper, not the paper, the initial drawing. Basically, I'm erasing all the stray marks. By erasing lightly, I could still see the underlying drawing, and I'm just going in and reinforcing the underlying drawing. So when you're drawing the female figure, you want to make sure all the the limbs are petite and tapered and very graceful. But with Ursula, you're doing the opposite. You just want to just embrace her exaggeration. Just embrace just 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 those meaty limbs, her arms. Just embrace it. Just go for it. I mean, that's Ursula. Ursula is just all about the excess, the exaggeration. Drawing the fingers, drawing the hand on her hips. Again, like Ursula said in the cartoon, it's all about body language. So embrace the body language. So when you're drawing, you're actually directing too. So you just want to make sure the character, you can understand the character's personality or the mood, just how they're standing or sitting. Just understand the body language. So in this one, she has Neptune's trident. So she's actually very proud and boastful. Yeah, I can't say really. I can't say enough good things about Ursula's design. I thought they did a marvelous job of designing this character. I mean, she is such right away. She has a very distinct look and personality, and they're just something just absolutely delicious about her evilness. So Ursula was created by Ron Clement and John Musker, and designed and animated by Ruben Aquino. And those guys just did an absolutely marvelous job of just visualizing Ursula, who became, when she first came out in The Little Mermaid, she instantly became one of the best villainous that came out of the Disney factory. So I'm quickly shading in the her her costume. So Ursula is essentially wearing a black one piece bathing suit, and to me that's always been, that's why I always visualized. So with that in mind, I'm treating the torso portion of the costume as a one piece black bathing suit. That is very stylized in this kind of a that was very popular in the 1950s. This black one piece bathing suit. So I'm going in, start shading in, her torso, how all the well, how her muscle kind of falls, highlighting all the anatomical landmarks. This portion is the part that I really like when I'm just drawing. And just drawing, this pencil drawing is always the most fun for me, because this is a part I'm just basically thinking out loud on paper. So I'm just like just having fun, just making mistakes and correcting mistakes, taking chances on different stuff, just reinforcing the eyes. Again, Ursula has this beautiful eyes, this heavily made up eyes, like a showgirl. She has this you know, these Vegas makeup, and that awesome hair. That's that short punk rock hair. So now I'm shading in the lower portion, the tentacles. So when you draw the tentacle, it's all about the flow. I mean, I love it when I kind of get in the flow of the drawing, just the flow of the figure, just really, it's really great when the flow of the figure just kind of start guiding your hand. Sometimes when I'm shading, I just go into this autopilot, because I kind of know what I want to do, and you just kind of trust your hand. So there's the underside of the tentacle where the suction cups are. Normally, I don't really spend too much time just shading the black area, because it can be kind of tedious. But with Ursula, it's different. I just, and also this is a drawing demo, so I just want to show everything, When I'm drawing cartoons, and if if the character is in a completely black costume, I just like just take my ink brush and just like completely black it out. But since I'm drawing, I kind of want to show all the subtle shading, kind of like emphasizing all the anatomical landmarks. So here's a funny story about Ursula. In the cartoon, she has like an octopus lower half. Her body is that of an octopus. But instead of giving her 8 legs, 8 tentacles, they gave her 6 because it was, I guess, easier to illustrate. Because if you have so many tentacles, it does get confusing for the animators to illustrate it. Which kind of like reminds me of the great Harryhausen story. Ray Harryhausen was absolutely a genius of a filmmaker. He's the pioneer of the stop motion special effect. So I guess in the 50s, he did a this giant octopus-like creature attacking and destroying San Francisco Bay Bridge, and because they were on a budget, they made the octopus creature, this giant monster, only have 6 legs, so it's not a true octopus. I guess it is a sectopus or sexipus. And so when I read that the Ursula only has 6 tentacles instead of 8, that really reminded me of the Ray Harryhausen story. And it's driving me crazy because I don't know I forgot the name of that movie. I mean, I could picture it where the tentacles are just climbing up the San Francisco Bay Bridge and just crushing the foundation and just dragging the bridge under the water. It's one of those classic 1950s monster movies by Ray Harryhausen, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name. It's terrible getting old. I've been having that a lot where like because I watch so many movies, I can remember the movie, but sometimes the titles and especially the actor's name and actress's name, they just escape me, and it just drives me crazy. And of course, I always remember them at the later on at the weirdest time. So it's actually kind of funny. So anyway, if you guys get a chance, do see the Ray Harryhausen 1950s monster flick with the octopus with the 6 legs instead of the 8. Now to think about it, I think I should do like a drawing demo on one of the Ray Harryhausen's monsters, because man, Ray Harryhausen, talk about my childhood. I mean, his movie just ignited my imagination, as a kid. It was a 1 million year BC with Raquel Welch, those dinosaurs. Absolutely, just love it. Absolutely loved it. So I'm just going crazy with the shading at this point, which is funny because normally I don't do this. I just I just kind of black out during the inking process. I'm just erasing the straight marks. I gave her that extra pointy elbow because I noticed that some people with those beefy arm have this like a dimple on their elbow where the elbow is, or so sometimes it would just kind of pop out, or it'll be just like kind of buried. And just kind of redefining her seashell earrings. Yeah, I like to kind of like rub in the graphite to kind of give it a more of a softer look. So yeah, I mean, so when I draw, I tend to get really messy when I draw because I just like to rub things in and and just like cross hatch and crazy like that. So my hand at the often, especially after all these during after the drawing session, my hand looked like a chimney sweep's hand. It's all just black, just blackened by the graphite, the pencil graphite, and so it's just kind of funny. So again, as I said before, like this pencil stage is I have the most fun because I am literally thinking out loud on paper. So I'm just having fun. I'm just going there, going into the dirt, so to speak, and just trying things. Just building, destroying, creating, unmaking, just having a ball. I'm just doing all kinds of stuff to see what works and what doesn't work. This is a stage where you should have fun and just try out new things. This pencil stage. If you make a mistake, just erase it. As that old saying goes, if it looks right, it's right. If it looks wrong, then it's wrong. And if it's wrong, then erase it. So don't be afraid to erase mistakes because that's what the little end of the pencil is for. It has a little eraser, so you can erase things if you make a mistake. I am spending way too much time on shadings Ursula's torso. So there I am, just kind of feathering um, the the strokes. So I'm just essentially cross hatching with my pencil and rubbing it in. I think I'm spending more time shading in the her costume than actually that I spent on the actual figure work. I mean, it's a bit tedious, but when you're doing it, it's actually kind of fun. When you're kind of understand what you're doing, it is kind of fun. Now, here's a simple trick in drawing, especially painting, but I do it in my pencil drawing too. So when I draw a figure, I like to shade in the lower half to tend to be darker. I like to kind of like put them in the shadows, and have the upper half where the chest and torso be more well lit. So you have this kind of a spotlight approach, which kind of emphasize or kind of lead your eyes to focus where to focus. So you want the reader or your audience to focus on the top half because that's where a lot of the expressions, a lot of the emotions are expressed, and the body language is expressed. You know, so yeah. So if you look at a lot of my drawings, the lower half tend to be kind of darker, kind of be in the shadows, and the top half is kind of in the light. So you have this like beautiful spotlight approach. And I am absolutely going crazy with this shading here. Now, normally when I'm shading, I'm constantly rotating the paper. So since when I do these drawing videos, I tape the paper onto my drawing desk, so I can't move the paper. So, but in real life, when I'm actually drawing, I am constantly moving the paper, rotating the paper, so I could get a different angle to the slant of the pencil strokes and ink stroke. So again, I like to, once I kind of lay down the pencil, I like to kind of like go in and rub it in, kind of soften everything. So here's a trick. So once you have the base down, you go in and kind of like lift the graphite, erase the highlight into your drawing. I mean, that's like an old trick. So by adding highlights, you give a kind of a three-dimensional look to your figure work. So here's a funny story. I'm a big fan of John Singer Sargent. Now, John Singer Sargent, I think, is one of the greatest painters of all time. The guy is absolutely amazing. So he was a high society painter this about 140 years ago. And he was so good that he eventually stopped doing painting portraits of high society because he just simply got tired of it, you know. But his demand was so much that he couldn't really quite give it up. But eventually, he kind of hated painting portraits, and or he hated painting portrait painting, painting portraits for the rich. But there were still so many commissions. And so he decided to kill two birds with one stone. And instead of doing oil paintings, he's toward the end of his career, he just switched to graphite portraits. So he would just do portrait drawings instead of paintings. So the funny thing is, I read that he didn't use erasers so to create highlights in his graphite drawings. He would use bread. And so he would break off a piece of bread and then use that bread as an eraser, and apparently it worked very well. And so he would use that. Now think about it, I'm not sure if there was an eraser back then. This was like about like 1910, around that time. I wonder if they had erasers. So anyway, so he used bread. And so when I read that, I was just dying. Just, to have someone who would think of using weird stuff as an art tool. So yeah, I mean, I love John Singer Sargent. I mean, I can't get enough of his stuff. I mean, the guy was absolutely amazing. So now I am drawing Ursula's two eel pets, I guess her fur babies. And, since I don't want to draw the eel in the cartoony style, I actually had to look up how the eels look. And the eels are, talk about nightmare fuel. They're the most just creepiest thing ever. So they have this head of a snake dinosaur with this crazy round psychotic eyes, and this long snake-like ribbon bodies. And when they open their mouth at this incredible, unreal angle that almost splits their head in half. And in that mouth are these rows of these tiny, sharp teeth. So yeah, I mean, the more I stared at the eels, the moray eels, the more creepy they became. I mean, definitely don't want to meet one in underwater. So I'm drawing the second eel, which is in a very tough angle because it's coming straight at you. So if you do it wrong, it tends to look weird or just off. Because they have a very narrow body, so their face is very narrow. Yeah, and so they have this like weird kind of like grooves under their neck, and they're actually really cool looking to a certain degree. They're really cool looking. But I'm a huge dinosaur fan, so these creatures, their head kind of remind me a bit of dinosaurs. And their body just kind of tapers off into this almost like a point, almost like an arrowhead. Since I love monsters, the eels definitely are they're fun creatures to draw. But I don't want to meet them in real life. I don't want to see one, especially underwater. I hate underwater creatures. They always give me the creeps. So I'm just reinforcing the trident. I mean, Ursula is actually really fun to draw. I think I'm probably going to draw more of her because she's such a unique character. Tightening up her smile, her big Joker-like smile, and then I'm just adding the bubbles, the air bubbles, the finishing touches. I really like how this turned out. I think maybe later on I'll just ink it. Now, do you just use the air bubble to kind of like balance out the drawings and balance out the overall drawing? Just reinforcing the line. And one final pass at shading. I swear, if I kept drawing this, I think I would have just kept on shading for another hour. But I don't want to torment you guys. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually really happy with this. I think this drawing came out good. Came out pretty good. It's always great when you have this image in your mind and you're able to transfer it onto paper pretty smoothly. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it actually is really nice. So there it is, Ursula from The Little Mermaid.